Hello and welcome to This Week with Gaming. We're going to be covering about 10 things today. I can't be really going through them all to start with like I did last time, so I'll just go into the first one, which is Lady Gaga. Not normally to with games, but she is rather this time. She tweeted, Hujbut Air Grub, a lot of other stuff after that. And Cyberpunk 2077's official Twitter account responded, of course you will. And that's not much on its own, but she has also been spotted going into CD Projekt Red's like filming kind of area thing, I guess you'd call it that, multiple times. So it's pretty likely that she'll either be voicing a character or doing motion capture for one or both, which is, it's interesting. Just, Next, we have a bit of news on the Epic Games Store. I know a lot of people don't like it, or at least in the PC gaming community, a lot of people don't like it because they've just been paying a load of companies to have exclusives, and they don't have a very functional store at the moment. They don't even have reviews on it. But hopefully that'll change in the somewhat close future, as they've released a roadmap. It could change, but they've said that they're gonna try and release reviews, wish lists, playtime tracking, and mod support within the next half a year, which is a long time, but it's better than never having it, really, isn't it? They're also working on the offline mode, since currently you have to be online to be able to use it, and they're also working on cloud saves, since with Epic Games Store's games, that's a tongue twister for some reason, including the word tongue twister apparently. But anyway, the Epic Games Store at the moment doesn't have a cloud save feature, so if your hard drive gets corrupted or anything like that, you've lost all your save data for any games you had on that platform. It wasn't great, really. I have the Fortnite trailer footage because I couldn't really think of anything to do with the actual Epic Games Store apart from scrolling through it, which I'm not allowed. I don't know if I'm allowed to have it on my video or not, so I just went with that. Borderlands 3 has had 3 teasers now. I'll be showing the third one, I think, on the screen, or have shown it. And they are the Gearbox Software, the people that made Borderlands 1 and 2, are heading to PAX East later this month in Boston. This could mean another Borderlands game or something else because they're a publisher, but they've got big news according to one of their people. It's probably Borderlands since they've released teaser pictures, including a robot on a table, a fuzzy picture of a person looking at something Borderlands-ish in the background, and some other one. Now we've got news on the Left 4 Dead developers called Turtle Rock Studios. They've made both games, I think, but they're making a new one after the somewhat failure of Evolve, which we're just not going to talk about since Left 4 Dead was quite a good game. And Back 4 Blood, their new game that they're talking about now, and they haven't released obviously, is also a co-op zombie shooter like Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, but they're going to try and have new features and current gen technology, whatever that means, probably to do with graphics and stuff. Saying about how much of an awesome opportunity it is to work on the game, and they're enjoying it, to say the least. Next up, we've got some leaks on Rainbow Six Siege and its operators for next season, but not the season, but the next part where the ones get released. It's leaks, so it could be wrong, but this person was right about Operation Burnt Horizon, so it's somewhat trustworthy to say the least, and it sounds like they know what they're talking about. They sound like it could happen. The American for defense and Dutch, which I think is the first for attack. The Dutch one will have a similar ability to Caveira, where basically they have silent steps for a short amount of time. Well, not silent, close to silent steps for a short amount of time. And the American guy has a special type of vision where he doesn't get affected by flashbangs and can see through smokes. So the flashbangs isn't great because they're kind of broken anyway, as in a bad way, not a good way. And the smoke grenades, that could be useful, but Glass can already do it, so it might be a bit of a competition with that. But yeah, They sound interesting. I think the American guy will be a bit useless compared to some of the other better defense operators, like say Legion or Valkyrie, I guess. But it'll mix up the game a bit. It's better than Dokkaebi and stuff per attack. Now we've got some slightly crazy news on not a video game, but a card game called Magic the Gathering. Its most, I guess you call it, iconic card just sold for guess how much? I'll give you 3 seconds. $160,000. That's quite a lot of money if you say so myself. It was in good condition, which obviously you'd expect at that kind of price, but it sold on eBay with the winning bid coming to that price. Obviously, like I said earlier, it was $166,100 US to be exact. And it's been around, the game itself has been around since 1993, so I assume it probably released near the start of the thing, so it's a bit rarer. But apparently it was a lot of people were scrambling when it was a lower kind of price to try and get it. But obviously it went pretty high. But it seems like the Magic the Gathering market is kind of exploding, with a lot of people buying the more expensive cards, with it being considered less of a nerdy hobby. But luckily for people who don't want to spend that kind of money on the good cards, they've released Magic Arena, which is like a kind of free version on obviously on like mobile and stuff, because they're not just going to print out free cards for you. But if you don't want to sink $160,000, probably a good idea to try the game. Or if you want to do that, want to try out the game first, just try it out. Magic Arena is what it's called. We've got a tiny bit of extra news for Days Gone, which we covered last week, as we were saying that it had gone golden. But this week, we found out that it's going to be about 30 hours long, and 6 of those hours will be cutscenes, which is, it seems like a lot, but I don't really know the statistics or facts on how long the cutscenes are in other games like Spider-Man, which I should be bringing a review out on soon, actually. So look forward to that if you want to watch it. Respawn, the creators of pretty well-received games, well, more than well-received games like Titanfall, Titanfall 2, and more recently Apex Legends. I'm sure you've probably heard of that. It's competing with Fortnite basically, which is was I think the most streamed game on Twitch. But the makers of those games, not Fortnite, the other ones, they've been working on it for a while, I think, but as part of EA's 10-year Star Wars deal with Disney, they're making a Star Wars game called Jedi Fallen Order. I don't know whether that's the actual name or just like the code name they have for it, but apparently we're going to get more news on that at the Star Wars celebration in Chicago on April 13th. So if you're interested in Star Wars games, which I know I am, probably look forward to that. It's probably going to be more of a release date kind of thing than like it actually releasing, but it's interesting to get news on it. Speaking of EA though, they've laid off, I think it was like 800 people in one of their segments. It's just a bit of a short thing, but it's a thing, I guess. Moving on from EA though, Sony, the makers of PlayStation, has filed a new patent which hints at them having backwards compatibility for the PS5, which obviously hasn't been released yet, but they put in patents early so no one else can like take it and then sue them off of it. Anyway, they've got the patent for backwards compatibility, but it doesn't say in it what it's for, so we don't know whether that's for PlayStation games, PS2 games, PS3 games, PS4 games. It could be all four, I don't think so. It's probably more likely to be the PS4 definitely, so they have a lot of games, like somewhat current games for people to play on release. And then, I don't know, it might not be any of the other ones, it might literally just be PlayStation. I hope it's probably the PlayStation 3 would be good, although they do have PS Now for that if you've got good enough internet, which I don't. And then finally for this week we've got Valve, the creators of Steam, have implemented a new feature, I guess you'd call it, for their store, where it's trying to tackle review bombing basically, which is where if something that is kind of unrelated to the game, such as the publishers, only publishing the most recent game on the Epic Games Store, which is what happened with the Metro series. The publishers, I can't remember what they're called, published Metro Exodus only for a year, I think it is, on Epic Games Store. And then obviously the other two, I think, games were published on the Steam Store because Epic Games Store wasn't out then. So the two Metro games on Steam were review bombed for Metro Exodus being only on the Epic Store. So that's what would count as off-topic reviews in terms. Yeah. Anyway, Steam's implementing a new thing where they'll get a person to look through the reviews and see which ones are actually about the game and which ones are about a different issue, to not affect the game's like livelihood, I guess, which is it's nice. Anyway, see you probably next week, maybe not, depending on the amount of news that I find and find interesting. Anyway, see you later.